Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dr. Hamid and our today's topic of discussion is myelodysplastic syndrome. Again, very important topic for step 1 and step 2. And when I was preparing for my step 1, this topic was very difficult for me. Before we jump into this topic, I want to discuss Waldenström Macroglobulinemia and MGUS, monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. Because in my previous lecture, we have already talked about multiple myeloma. Everything you need to know about multiple myeloma, that lecture is very, very high yield. So I would recommend go and watch that um, lecture first because I wasn't able to talk about Waldenström macroglobulinemia and MGUS in that lecture. So I thought that I should cover these two topics because they won't take a lot of time. Okay. So in the plasma cell disorders, we have multiple myeloma, Waldenström macroglobulinemia, and MGUS. They ask a lot of questions in step 1. And we already talked about multiple myeloma that there is an overproduction of IgG and IgA, and there will be CRAP findings like hypercalcemia, renal involvement, anemia, and bone lytic lesions. Now, let's first talk about MGUS because in that lecture, I have told you that there is 1 to 2% risk of transformation of MGUS into multiple myeloma. Okay. Um, so, what is MGUS? MGUS is also a plasma cell disorder, and there is an overproduction of any immunoglobulin, either immunoglobulin A, G, M, E, any immunoglobulin can be overproduced. Usually, this condition is asymptomatic. This condition is mild as compared to multiple myeloma, and there will be no CRAP findings in MGUS. And when we do the bone marrow biopsy, we see less than 10% monoclonal plasma cells. So, if I distinguish MGUS from multiple myeloma, in MGUS, there is overproduction of any immunoglobulin. In multiple myeloma, there is overproduction of IgG and IgA. Usually, MGUS is asymptomatic, but multiple myeloma has CRAP findings, which is not seen in MGUS. When we do the bone marrow biopsy of MGUS, we see less than 10% monoclonal plasma cells. There is overproduction of plasma cells, but those plasma cells will be less than 10%. When we do the bone marrow biopsy of multiple myeloma, we see more than 10% monoclonal plasma cells. So, we can say in a simple words that this is a milder condition that can MGUS is a milder condition that can progress to multiple myeloma. Okay. Now, Waldenstrom macroglobulinemia, there is an overproduction of IgM immunoglobulin. Okay. Clinical features are no CRAP findings again, but we'll see hyperviscosity syndrome. So patient will present with a headache, blurry vision, Raynaud's phenomenon, retinal hemorrhages, all of these findings. These are the findings of hyperviscosity syndrome. And when we do the bone marrow biopsy, we'll see more than 10% small lymphocytes with intranuclear pseudo-inclusions. You don't need to know a lot about this, but again, complication is very important. You should know that thrombosis is the complication which we see in Waldenström macroglobulinemia, and the complications which we were seeing in multiple myeloma are infections and primary amyloidosis. Okay, that lecture was very high yield, so go and check it out. Now, our today's topic of discussion is myelodysplastic syndrome. And yeah, what is myelodysplastic syndrome? It is a malignant stem cell cancer, in a simple words. Okay, we have talked about hematopoiesis, and we have already talked about that there are two lineages, the lymphoid and myeloid. Hematopoietic stem cells, let me show you that. Um, uh, I don't think so. I won't be able to show that flow chart, but you should see it's in the first aid. I'm using first aid, but then I have to scroll a lot of pages. So, yeah. So, myelodysplastic syndrome is a malignant stem cell cancer. Basically, our hematopoietic stem cell undergo two lineages. The first is lymphoid, and other one is myeloid. From the myeloid cells, what we get the neutrophils, we get basophils, eosinophils, RBCs, and thrombocytes. From the lymphoid lineages, we get B lymphocytes, T lymphocytes and natural killer cells. Okay, so from the name myelodysplastic syndrome, it is very clear that it is affecting myeloid lineage, not the lymphoid lineages. Okay, in other words, we can say that it is affecting non-lymphoid lineages. Okay, so it is a stem cell disorder. It is a malignant stem cell cancer that is involving ineffective hematopoiesis, and there will be ineffective hematopoiesis of non-lymphoid lineages. Non-lymphoid lineages means myeloid stem cells. Myeloid cells are eosinophils, lymphocytes, not lymphocytes, sorry, eosinophils, neutrophils, basophils, erythrocytes, and thrombocytes. Okay, so we will see there will be ineffective hematopoiesis, and we will see neutropenia, anemia, and thrombocytopenia. Okay, this disorder, myelodysplastic syndrome, usually affects elderly patients. Okay, usually it is seen in older patients, not in the young patients. Okay, and now what are the causes? What are the risk factors of myelodysplastic syndrome? So it could usually it is seen in the older patients. It could be due to de novo mutations. We don't know any risk factor, or some of the times it is due to exposure to chemotherapy or radiation therapy. Once a person gets exposed to chemotherapy or radiation therapy multiple times, that in the later ages of life it could lead to myelodysplastic syndrome. Okay, this disease, myelodysplastic syndrome, can transform into acute myeloid leukemia. We'll talk about it later in this lecture, okay? That how we can differentiate myelodysplastic syndrome from acute myeloid leukemia. But for now, you should remember that myelodysplastic syndrome can transform into acute myeloid leukemia, okay? Now, what are the manifestations? What are the findings we usually see in this disorder? Usually, it leads to one or more types of cytopenias. Okay, cytopenias means decreased number of either anemia, leukopenia, or thrombocytopenia. So, usually, how the patient gets presented with this disorder, um, we are seeing that the patient, if the patient has anemia, then the patient will present with weakness, easy fatigue, shortness of breath. If the patient will have leukopenia, then he or she will present with infections, increased risk of infections. And due to thrombocytopenia, patient could have bruising and increased tendency to bleed, increased risk of bleeding. Okay, so these are the usual presentation of patients. Okay, we will not see hepatosplenomegaly and lymphadenopathy in this disorder. Okay, you will this for me it was difficult because I was not getting the concepts. So I would recommend that from the name it is very clear that it is affecting the myeloid lineage, not the lymphoid lineage. So everything will be under the myeloid cells. Okay, RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Now, how we diagnose this condition? First, we'll do the peripheral blood smear, and in the peripheral blood smear, we see dysplastic erythrocytes. Usually, we see oval macrocytosis. Okay, we see an erythrocytes that has budding. Okay, I'll show the I will show the picture. Okay, then second very important finding in the peripheral blood smear we see is, which is seen in neutrophils, is hyposegmented and hypogranulated neutrophils. Look at this image A. Okay, this is usually, I have already talked about neutrophils. That was very descriptive session on neutrophils in my previous lecture. Yeah, so go check it out. Very high yield again. So usually we know that neutrophils, they have 4 to 5 lobes. Okay, but in myelodysplastic syndrome, we see that the neutrophils will be hyposegmented. Very high yield point for this topic is we see hyposegmented and hypogranulated neutrophils. What is mean by hyposegmented neutrophils? I have already told you that neutrophils usually have 4 to 5 lobes, okay? But if we see two two or three lobes, usually two lobes, bilobed neutrophils. Okay, when we see bilobed neutrophils, or in other words, we can see hyposegmented neutrophils, you should think about myelodysplastic syndrome. This diagram, this image is very important. You are seeing one lobe here, two lobes, only two lobes in the neutrophils. So when you see bilobed nucleus, you should think about myelodysplastic syndrome, okay, which is also called pseudo Pelger anomaly, neutrophils with bilobed nuclei. Okay, this condition, this bilobed nucleus or hyposegmented neutrophils are associated with myelodysplastic syndrome or drugs, example immunosuppressants. Okay, so you will see less um, segmentation and less granulation in neutrophils in myelodysplastic syndrome. Okay, look at this diagram here. Let me zoom in. Yeah, this is myelodysplastic syndrome. Look at the neutrophil. Neutrophil has only two lobes. Okay, bilobed nuclei is the neutrophil is having bilobed nuclei. Neutrophil with hypogranular cytoplasm and bilobed nucleus. Okay, and I've talked about the other finding you see in the peripheral smear is dysplastic erythrocytes. Look at the RBC that is having erythroid precursor with nuclear budding. So you'll see kind of oval macrocytosis in myelodysplastic syndrome. Now, the most accurate test we do to diagnose myelodysplastic syndrome is bone marrow biopsy. And when we do the bone marrow biopsy, we see that single or the multilineage dysplasia will be there with hypercellularity. Because of that tumor, you see the hypercellularity in the bone marrow. And when you when you do that bone marrow biopsy, you see increased number of blast cells in the bone marrow, and those blast cells will be less than 20%. Okay, you'll see blast cells, increased number of blast cells, but those blast cells will be less than 20%. In comparison to this, when you see more than 20% blast cells in the bone marrow, that will be acute myeloid leukemia. So there is this is the important thing you should remember, that myelodysplastic syndrome can transform to acute myeloid leukemia. How? Because in myelodysplastic syndrome, there will be increased number of blast cells, but those blast cells will be less than 20%. Versus in acute myeloid leukemia, you will see more than 20% blast cells. Okay. So I think this is all about myelodysplastic syndrome, and I've shared the very important images. You should remember the finding which we see in neutrophil, how we see the neutrophils in myelodysplastic syndrome, what kind of erythrocytes we see in myelodysplastic syndrome. You should remember that it can transform into acute myeloid leukemia. All of this information is very, very important. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you.